Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. My name is Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger.
Happy New Year! This episode will be releasing on New Year's Eve, so last one of 2018. Hey Trevor, we've managed yet another full year of... Well, wait, is it yet another? Or our first full year? How long have we been doing this now? Anyway, no, yet another full year.
Yet another.
of non-stop weekly episodes. You're welcome.
Yeah, sometimes they're a little bit late, but that's okay.
Yes, it was Christmas.
I get this message in the middle of what was it, Christmas Eve? It's like, I suppose I better actually edit this podcast.
Hey, I still put it up in our RSS feed as if it had come out that morning, so nobody knows the better.
Except if they went to listen to it on Christmas Eve in the morning.
I'm sure most people had better things to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, this week's episode
yes,
is our annual Game of the Year episode. We try to do this for around about the last episode of the year. But, of course, we are not a regular gaming podcast, and we don't talk about real games on this podcast. Podcast. So we have asked some friends and listeners to give us the pitch for their best imaginary game of the year, and we shall discuss them.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think it was.
Did we get many responses?
No, we did not. Because we are
we can't only put it in one place.
Because we are bad at social media. Yes,
we're very bad at social media, and I even said that we'll record it this weekend. That was it's now Friday evening. And I put this up over a week ago. So so we've got three.
Yeah, so we've
three
got
comments from the AGPN guys.
3 pitches from
I've got a pitch.
Amazing games that came out in 2018. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, whatever. And if we can't stretch that into an hour, then we've got some of our own Game of the Years that we shall also look at. So, shall we begin?
Yes, we shall.
Top to bottom?
Top to bottom. So, thank you to Brendan White for the first suggestion today.
Brendan White from the Hungry Gamers podcast and the 8-Bit Collective. Thank you, Brendan.
Dinosaurs wearing Nikes, eating pizza.
That would make an awesome tattoo. I'm not sure how we'll turn it into a game, but let's see.
Okay, so I've got this idea. It's an alternate universe where instead of humans evolving from monkeys, humans evolved from dinosaurs.
Okay. And interestingly, birds evolved from monkeys.
So they're hairy with prehensile tails.
Yes. But wings. They still managed to evolve wings. Whereas dinosaurs sort of headed towards the more humanoid-ish direction. I'm picturing these humanoids have
maybe some greenish skin or tones to their skin, but for the most part, you picture it as sort of
a regular human.
A regular human.
Okay.
So I think the intro to this world is you've got this. I don't want to go guy, so I'm thinking girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now trying to think of a good name.
Rexanne.
Rexanne, and she's got her friend Daisy.
Sure.
Yep. So you got Rexanne and Daisy. I kind of like Rexanne.
Or what about? Cool. Well, maybe her friend should be Ceratops.
Daisy, it is. Okay. So the intro movie is that they're sitting in this pizza joint, and
but did you say movie? The intro movie,
no,
right? Sorry, so the intro to the movie. I'm like, Trevor.
No,
we've done 107 episodes. We're making games, not movies.
Yes,
right. The intro movie into the game. Okay.
So it's they're sitting in this pizza shop. Whether it's like a Pizza Hut or something like that, but maybe better.
But a better dinosaur pun?
Yeah, but a better dinosaur pun.
Okay. What's on the pizza?
Oh, there you go. Pizza Pit.
Pizza Pit?
As in
okay.
tar pit.
Yeah, good. I like it.
And they just happen to be wearing Nikes because they've just finished the basketball game. When all of a sudden, like, these terrorists sort of bust through the window,
Do you mean pterodactylists?
Pterodactylists come through, kidnap Daisy.
Okay.
And now you, Rexanne, have to go on this mission to sort of save.
Sure. So what sort of gameplay are we thinking? For some reason, it popped into head as sort of a side-scrolling brawler, or like a Metroidvania in the sense of like Shadow Complex style, like with the 3D. Do you know the 3D sort of style? I mean, where you sort of it's still like it's a 2D play space for the most part, but you are still interacting with things in the background and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, I like that. That's cool. So,
yeah. I mean, I've just been playing a bit of Guacamelee again, so I'm really into the Metroidvania style of
of course,
gameplay. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if you've got a few different like, you've got sort of maybe some time periods that you're going through. So you got current time, and then you got like prehistoric time, sort of going through.
Like when dinosaurs were actual dinosaurs, like we know them.
Yeah, and maybe then you got a future thing as well. So you're going through these 2D levels that at first you're going through the one time period, but then you switch into the other time period as well.
Is Rexanne traveling through time then?
I think so, yes.
Okay, and so how does that come about? Because all we know is that pterodactylists have stolen her friend. Did they have some sort of time travel tech?
Yeah, I think what's actually happened is like the meteor that was supposed to like wipe out the dinosaurs, that didn't quite wipe out the dinosaurs in this universe. Like there's little shards of that, and basically you can at first only go through certain portals that are around in the world, but as you get more sort of more skills and that sort of stuff in the world, you can start being able to flip between these two time periods really quickly, and then
so you no longer need portals. So is this sort of one of these like I haven't actually played it, but did Link to the Past do this sort of thing where you're like flipping between the same space in different worlds, basically?
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, I get it. So and a little bit of the Guacamelee style thing of the like
being able to
world
flip between Shadow World and not.
Yeah, but in this case, it might be you flip back and you're in like a jungle and there's an actual T-Rex there. But like you need to do that. Yeah. You need to run through the T-Rex's legs because you need to get through a wall that has been built there in your current time period.
Yeah, and you know, in this earlier time period, you're going through these ruins, so you can sort of jump up these sort of sections, but you get to this one little part, and you know there's a wall in front, so you flip back to into the present, and that wall is completely crumbled, so you can jump across. But then, you know, one of the platforms above is crumbled, so you can flip back into the. Yeah,
well, I like the idea. Then, if you've got the 3 time periods, I feel like you could do some really interesting and get fairly complex with the puzzling if you have to switch to the future as well. And then you do have like advanced tech and like hover platforms and stuff that might be there that aren't in any of the others.
Yeah.
Or what could be cool is if you can... So like I think as you gain your skills, like you said, initially you need portals to switch back and forth. Mm-hmm. But then maybe you gain access to just being able to flip back to the prehistoric and back to the present. And then similarly, you know, you start finding portals to the future, and then you're able to flip between all 3. But I like the idea that you can put down portals so that you can create puzzles where it's things like, oh, there's a laser in the future, but you put a portal in front of it, and that laser goes through the portal into the prehistoric times and like blasts a fucking Triceratops or something.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Or like,
okay. So I think this when you go to the future at one stage, you end up in this sort of place where the new Nikes that you pick up, they actually have like jump jets in them, so you can get higher jumps.
Are they also like self-tying? Are they the Back to the Future Nikes?
Yeah, but I'm kind of picturing that they're not like super futuristic. That in the fact that the jump jets that you've actually got are like hydraulic sort of things, so that they're almost steampunky-ish.
Okay.
So I don't know. I kind of like that idea of that visual style of the further into the future that you go, like in the more almost steampunky or retro it sort of ends up looking.
Right. Like they've discovered the actual the second level of steam power, where now it's more efficient again.
Okay, so yeah, we've got this idea for Rexanne. What do you reckon about these terrorists? What do you think is actually going to happen to Daisy in between? Is it going to be kind of like the original Prince of Persia, in that you occasionally get like a bit of the story that's going on upstairs, even though you the character don't know
could
this?
Be, or maybe like this crew of terrorists, pterodactyl terrorists, like leave someone behind to try to deal with you. They notice that you're catching and following, and so you get these mini boss fights, and that like gives you a sense of what's happening, because you get some exposition before you fight them. Mm-hmm. And maybe a glimpse of the conversation before you show up, sort of thing, and so you see the terrorist leader with Daisy and get a sense for what's going on.
So
I guess they're traveling through time.
Who do you
as
reckon
well.
the terrorist leader is? I think it's like a politician or something like that. That's sort of well known, but sort of tries to keep a clean image on the outside, but is really funding these terrorist groups to try and do some stuff.
So what are they actually trying to do? Are they trying to change history? Is this why they're going back in time?
I think what you actually find out is Daisy's actually part of like the ancient royal family.
Okay.
And so Daisy's got like this special, like, well, because she's part of the royal bloodline, her blood can open this tomb or something like that.
Okay. So pretty straightforward video game logic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fine.
I kind of like the idea of them talking about this, like prophecies and that sort of stuff. This politician. I'm not even sure what his name should be.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to think of a Lara Croft dinosaur pun. I mean, the politician's probably just like, his name's Terry Dactyl. Or like Terry A. Nadon.
Oh, God.
I like the idea then, though, that your upgrades, because you're talking like you find the new Nikes, that they're all shoe-based. Or like accessories on your shoes or something. Like you get new soles, you get new laces, and that like the laces are what lets you, flip to the past for some reason. And you can choose the colors, and like you can really pimp out your shoes. Mm-hmm. And we'll get top sponsorship from Nike too for doing this, so it'll help fund the game. I don't think anyone will mind the in-your-face advertising when you get to do cool shit to your shoes and travel through time.
So, what do you think about this game? Do you think that this could definitely be a Game of the Year contender?
Oh, I mean, it's a contender just for being on this episode, right?
Yeah.
I think that the team behind Rex to the Past. Look, they knocked it out of the park. Obviously, it's right up there with the other games we are going to talk about tonight.
Now, should I reveal to you like some of my thoughts as to where I got some of these ideas from?
Sure. If you want to give us a look behind the curtain.
You're going to hate me for this, but Super Mario Brothers, the movie, the video game.
From our very first episode.
Yeah.
Is that, did you rehash some of our ideas from that, or you just took the idea of like dinosaurs?
Because you never let me go into that game. This is actually what that was originally going to be. Hence why I've got Princess Daisy.
Oh, we didn't actually talk about it. Right.
I was going to talk about the prophecy about two plumbers and...
Oh, God. Trevor. It's only taken you a year and a half to bring it back.
Yep. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you, Brendan. That was a definitely a contender for Game of the Year there. Let's move on to our next contender for this evening.
Thank you to Sam Harkin from The Inconsolables.
Good friend of ours. Thank you.
Music, mixing, Spider-Man, skateboarding.
Yeah, those are some words, all right? So, I mean, music mixing, I immediately think of, what was that? Drop
Mix.
Drop Mix, which Sam was a big fan of, so I assume that's where that's coming from. Now, the controller for Drop Mix was only ever used for Drop Mix. But surely they can, utilize that on some different games. So,
Okay.
I'm thinking using the Drop Mix controller.
Well, I think that the Drop Mix controller is just one part of it. You use a normal controller.
Oh, okay.
But,
it's like a secondary. It's kind of like the Games to Life aspect, but for
a
Spider-Man skateboarding game.
Yeah. So, I think in this, the sort of powers that your Spider-Man skateboarder can actually get are based on the music that you're currently mixing.
Yeah.
So, as you're playing the game with your normal controller, if you want to be able to do double web slinging to propel yourself along on the skateboard,
double web slide to kickflip to 360 bone grind. Spider-Man loves a 360 bone grind.
Of course he does. So I'm picturing that you got to actually, set up your music mix depending on what powers you actually want your Spider-Man / skateboarder to have. Maybe you play both characters. Half the game you're playing sort of Spider-Man, the other half of the game you're playing Peter Parker, who is a pro skateboarder in this universe.
Sure.
So
anything goes in the Spider-Man universe these days.
Pretty much. It's part of the Spider-Verse. This is Peter Q. Parker. And he's an awesome skateboarder, and then Spider-Man, is
and
just
he definitely
awesome as
there's
Spider-Man.
definitely an in-game version of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, except it's Peter Parker Pro Skater.
Yeah.
That you get to also play.
Peter Parker's Downhill Jam.
Yeah.
Peter Parker
Underground. Yeah. Good old Ppug. Ppug 2. That was the classic.
Ppug 2. That's awesome.
But then obviously the game itself, why wouldn't Spider-Man utilize his pro skateboard skills while fighting crime?
I'm just imagining him throwing a skateboard at someone. It hits him in the face. Then he
he just webs it back. Yeah,
webs it back straight under his feet, and he's off skateboarding.
Or web flings himself forward and just catches the skateboard with his feet. Which of course, he has complete control over. He has fucking sticky spider feet. He's never going to lose that board except when he wants to.
So
he can do some awesome moves.
Literally, kick out and smack someone in the face with
the board and just bring his foot back. It's still attached.
And still attached. Yeah,
definitely. So are we thinking you basically you have the board at all times? It just gives you an extra move set, and then so the drop mix controls. Yeah, maybe that's just setting up the combos that you're able to do. And obviously the music that's playing. I think it should still affect the music.
Oh yeah, it affects the music, but I'm picturing that Spider-Man / Peter Parker has his own personal iPod or something like that. Something in this universe in which he can DJ mix whatever he wants to listen to.
Oh yeah, I love the idea of when you put down a new card and you see him fiddle,
sort of reaching down and fiddling.
He's got something on his shoulder. He's got an iPod Shuffle. One of those little mini ones that clips on. I kind of like the idea, though, of this less of a open world full story Spider-Man game like the amazing actual Spider-Man game that came out this year, and more of a kind of casual, not casual, but
it's just like
similar
the
to Tony
Hawk
Hawk's
games.
Yeah, well, similar to Tony Hawk's, you're doing a run.
You got a level. and you got 2 minutes to do the run, and the run could be beat the shit out of these people and, score 2,000 points, while doing tricks.
And do a, drop from 500 meters. 500 meters, that's a long way. 500 meters and land on a half pipe without falling over.
I'm just picturing, web up 3 enemies while manualing.
Yes.
Kickflip over this gap and kickflip over the gap and kick this guy in the face
while flipping off this other guy. There's this
that would
indie.
actually be awesome.
It fucking would be. This is why it's a Game of the Year contender. There's this indie game being developed that is a kind of a cross between Max Payne and Tony Hawk, which is you're like skateboarding around, but you've got guns and you can sort of go into slow motion. I feel like that guy needs to get the Spider-Man license and just like combine that and make this game, because that'd be fucking sweet. Just transfer up a pipe or whatever. Probably using completely wrong terms. Slow down time, web onto that guy, swing around him, release as you're going, kick your board off into this other guy. It automatically, webs it back under your feet when you land. Yeah, it'd be fucking sweet. All right, cool. So what's this game called? I feel like we need to name them this week. Is it just Spider-Man Pro Skater?
No, it's Peter Parker's Peter Underground.
No, but that's the one that's the in fiction version where Peter Parker is actually a pro skater.
Okay, Spider-Man Pro Skater then.
Spider-Man BMX Triple X. 3,
Spider-Man mixing the decks.
Spider-Man what?
Mixing the decks.
Oh, mixing the decks. Oh, right. Of course,
so you've not only got the drop mix deck.
That's pretty good.
Thing, and then you've got the actual skateboarding decks.
Deck. Yeah, deck. Yeah. Oh, that's a good word. All right, mixing the decks. Sweet. All right.
Introduce our third one.
Yeah, let's do that. So, Mr. Kellen Davison, who has also been on the podcast and is from the Game Train podcast on the AGPN, has suggested Bitstorm podcast, sunglasses emoji. I feel like we should incorporate the sunglasses emoji.
Okay, so the one word that I'm vetoing is podcast.
Okay. So it's just Bitstorm sunglasses emoji. So are we interpreting
what a Bitstorm would actually be?
What a Bitstorm would be.
So
we can incorporate podcast in there somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. It's not high on my list.
So it's not a game about us doing this podcast.
Oh, hell no.
It's not like a visual novel.
So what I was
where we fall
in
love.
What I was picturing
Trevor.
is that it's... Stop it. What I was picturing is that this character knows he's in a video game a la Wreck-It Ralph sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And one day he goes outside, ready to face the
challenges of the day.
The challenges of the game that he's in, only to see there's this huge storm of bits.
Ones and zeros.
Ones, zeros, and basically turning everything around the area into effectively different eras of game technology. So,
interesting.
You've got sort of 8-bit graphics, then you've got 16-bit graphics, and then you've got 32-bit graphics, and sort of beyond.
When they stopped using bits to describe graphics.
Yeah, but I just like the idea of, this 8-bit storm that attacks this particular game. Then your character has to sort of get out of there, and when he gets into this other harbor, you actually finds out that all these other games have been attacked by this storm.
Okay, so it's a game jumping thing in the Wreck-It Ralph style.
In the Wreck-It Ralph style, but I'm picturing it could be maybe incorporated in the universe somewhere, but it's at a different arcade.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm picturing it's in an arcade.
Oh,
or,
all right. I was thinking more that maybe
Steam
it's like
library?
on someone's PC, because I was picturing the guy. I mean, statistically, it's a video game. It's probably a guy. As being maybe something a bit more recent than like Wreck-It Ralph, which is obviously an old arcade cabinet sort of one screen sort of thing. I'm thinking this person has a bit more, like maybe they have a daily challenge sort of thing because their game is still being updated and supported. Because I feel like you could explore a little bit of that to begin with. And maybe that is just the opening cinematic, or maybe it's actually part of the game where you play this person and they're an NPC in like fucking, like a modern day. I don't know. I was going to Stardew Valley, but I was more thinking just something where they have like a routine, right? That's more than just, Wreck-It Ralph's destroy the building and watch it be fixed again and be defeated. It's like, oh, it's Monday, so I need to be here from this time to this time, and I need to be talking to this person at this time. And, for them, that's totally normal. That's just what they do every Monday. They have the same conversations and they go to the same places until, things get disrupted. I was thinking also, I like the idea of the bit storm. I wonder if it's only like within the bit storm, which is maybe moving, that things change. So it's not changing things permanently as such. And there might be more than one of these storms. But as it comes and kind of takes over a game or a couple of games, because maybe there is sort of a physical layout to where each of these games are. Do you go out you go out into the streets and there's steam everywhere and valves.
It's all very steampunk.
Yeah, like rogue microtransactions.
So what I kind of like is the fact that maybe we can limit this to currently the Bitstormers infected like these 4 different games. Okay, and I'm thinking almost your lead character is sort of like, I'm thinking it's pretty much the emoji with sunglasses.
Oh, well, let's bring that in. Yeah, totally.
So your guys sort of like, remember the game Cool World? I'm thinking that this is like a different sort of, maybe a sequel to Cool World.
Wait, Cool World or Cool Spot?
Or Cool Spot, either one.
Well, Cool World, they did do a game.
I think.
Yeah, but they did. I'm pretty sure there was a SNES game of Cool World. Yeah, there was. Which is a weird fucking movie to turn into a video game. Yeah. Like, yes, it had cartoon characters on it, but they were also like fucking and like there was an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
But Cool Spot, like just a circle with sunglasses. So wait, is that your character then? So you're from a game where those are your like the beings that live within that world?
Yeah,
they're all kind of different emoji-looking things.
Yeah, it's sort of like maybe it's sort of like the Emoji Movie got turned into a video game.
Oh, fuck. Okay,
but not so much that. But
no, we can do that. We can do that.
What I'm like.
What's the Poop Emoji up to? Is he still voiced by Patrick Stewart?
Of course he is. Give some semblance, some regalness
to the shit, to the pixelated
to the chocolate ice cream emoji. That's what I keep on saying to my son. It's chocolate ice cream.
Oh god! Well, you're going to ruin him for life because he's going to be talking to a girl and he's 16, and he's going to be like, "Hey, you want to go get some chocolate ice cream emoji?"
Have you looked at the vanilla ice cream emoji and seen that the swirl is the exact same shape as the poop emoji? So you're now saying that the vanilla ice cream is actually old poop?
I think you need to. I think it really depends on which emoji set you're looking at, because in some the ice cream emoji is very different than the poop emoji, and the poop is clearly a turd. Okay,
some of them are definitely turdish. Okay, so I think that there's no way of actually defeating the Bitstorm at the very start. Like, you realise that it's infected your game, and it's this sort of localised storm that sort of moves around the area. But
I think you get given some tasks as an NPC, and like we really go into that, you know, we have some discussions about, oh, like I wonder if the player's going to, you know, come on today or something.
Yep.
But then, yeah, after you've done a couple things, you like, all of a sudden, maybe you're indoors, and all of a sudden everything turns like 8-bit, and it's previously it was like a full 3D game.
Yeah.
And then maybe it passes quite quickly, and you're just like, what the fuck was that?
And then, you know, you travel into this other game after a while, maybe in the second third of the game, you're traveling between the 4 different games, and you know, it turns into a 16-bit sort of thing. So it feels like Super NES graphics, and 32-bit where it feels like a Sony PlayStation game sort of thing. And
at one point, it becomes a text adventure.
it's like 1-bit or 2 bits or whatever they want to call it. That could actually be kind of cool, just playing around with all the different sort of old school games.
Yeah. So what are the other games then? Are we going with actual games from real life, or are we coming up with sort of fake versions of the
fake versions?
That sort of like
like
that sort of are the the archetype of particular genres.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking that you got a Need for Speedy sort of game.
Yep.
You've got a GTA kind of game.
Okay, like an open world something.
Openish world that has so many areas sort of roped off that you can't go into, and that's our little comment on DLC, because it's like, you haven't purchased this bit yet.
They're like, this player's totally cheap. I want to go to the strip club.
The only time that you can actually go there is when it turns into like the Legend of Zelda style thing, where all of a sudden you can walk out
because microtransactions didn't exist then. Is that what you're saying? But then you get right to the door of the strip club, and it's like, out of memory.
Please insert disc 23.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other game is like a...
Well, okay, go on, yeah.
I was thinking maybe a first-person shooter sort of thing.
Okay. Well, I wonder if
that turns into a text adventure. Because that so wouldn't work. But it has been so funny for...
Fire. Fire at it.
Turn left 3 degrees.
It's like you fire off a blast from your hand cannon and miss the imp by 50 centimeters to the left. So, all right, turn right 2 degrees. You are dead.
Moved.
Yeah, exactly. But I was wondering if there's actually, I like the idea that you go and visit an old 16 or 8-bit game, because maybe they know what's going on. Like this guy has some emulators installed on his computer, but they're illegal. They're illegal ROMs, so you have to leave Steam or whatever, leave the safety of the official game library, and go wandering off through the computer to find the directory with the illegal ROMs. And you probably stumble across some porn on the way. We can allude to that. It's like, maybe the ROMs are in program files, documents. It's boring work, more work, definitely not porn. Porn.
And then hidden right inside there is some real documents. It's like, oh, come on.
It's actually a video of a naked woman reading your actual documents.
Okay, then the end of this game is you clear out the other games, and you get back to yours, and you clear out most of it. Mm-hmm. But just as you're sitting down to relax, it sort of zooms out, and you see like maybe this small little thing behind the chair just all of a sudden changes, like from the fully rendered into like a pretty flat texture or something like that.
Right. Or maybe it's maybe it's his wife or something.
Comes in the room and she's
the clown emoji.
And she's all pixelated and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And she just like says in her PC speaker voice, "Hello, darling. Would you like some dinner?"
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's put a pin in that game.
All right. Is it just called Bitstorm?
It is called Bitstorm.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so those are the three from our AGPN family. You have a pitch, and you will go first, so I can come up with a pitch.
So the other day I sent you a message.
Yeah.
And
I've completely forgotten what it contains, so this is a new surprise.
A game that basically on the last day of work, I was going into work, I had in my bag a Frisbee. And I was just thinking, how cool would it be to actually have like a capture the flag style game, but instead of a flag, there's a Frisbee in which you've got to sort of grab from the opposition's team. But when you actually have the Frisbee, it's effectively like netball rules in that you cannot move with the Frisbee. You have to actually throw it onto your next partner, but then you can move again. Mm-hmm. I started adding in a few extra things that we can talk about or not, but
that's the general gist.
That's the general gist, in that it's an actual team game in which you have to work together to get the Frisbee back to your base.
Yeah. So how freeform are you thinking this Frisbee is? Is it literally like... So is this first person or third person to start with?
Well, originally I was thinking, could this work in VR? But then, because the physical action of throwing a Frisbee is always fun.
Yeah.
And that sort of adds to, like... I love VR, and there's just not enough multiplayer games out there. And yes, they got, what's it called out there? Echo Arena and that sort of stuff, which kind of has a Frisbee thing in it. But this being based in a sort of multi-level, almost office structure, mainly because I was at my workplace, and it's a multi-level structure that I'm like, oh, this could actually be awesome to sort of, be able to have different stairs going up and down levels, and you have to get like the Frisbee to a certain place. You can't just...
Yeah. I like the idea of the Frisbee a lot. I feel like an office building sort of thing wouldn't give you enough good open areas to really get a good throw in, though. You'd be doing a lot of close-up sort of...
What actually happens with the place that I work at is there's like this huge area in the center that is basically... it's right in the center of the building. You can see all the way across because all the levels are sort of opened up. Mm-hmm. So you could actually get like a nice throw happening across the
sort of across a big open area.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that that could
why
lead...
you have to sort of set up, your positions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Now, you don't want to have blocked line of sight to the rest of your team when you catch the Frisbee because you literally can't move.
The wrinkles that I started adding in is if you don't have control of the Frisbee, you have access to weaponry, such as guns and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Just because, gunplay is so much fun.
Well, I think it's I was basically thinking of it as a first-person or third-person shooter along the lines of, like, even like going back to Tribes, like one of the earlier team-based sort of things. Yeah.
So one of the things that I came up with that you really liked is when you actually when you don't have the Frisbee, you've got shields and like a shield sort of that can regenerate and all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
As well as your health. But when you actually catch the Frisbee, one of the things that actually happens is it immediately drops your shields to 0. So all you've got left is your health.
Yep.
And so that's why you can't just hold onto the Frisbee because then you're literally a target. And I'm picturing that like this red aura comes across you so that you're sort of highlighted, so that people know who's actually got the Frisbee right now. I'm thinking, normally if you don't have the Frisbee and you got shields, you got like a blue aura, and the second that you catch hold of the Frisbee, you get like a red aura if you're on say, the blue team.
To show that you're vulnerable. Yep. Basically. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of also having, whether it's, I don't know, power-ups or some sort of special abilities that you can gain where, and maybe one of them is, the next time you catch the frisbee, you'll actually get double shields instead of drop your shields or something, right? So you can sort of use that to strategize. All right, like we're going to be open here. We need, maybe there's only two of us left on our team. You're sort of passing it back and forth, but there's going to be a big open space where someone needs to hold the frisbee for longer. So it's like, all right, like we're going to fire off our shield doubler or whatever next time you catch it.
Yes, I was also thinking that there's respawn that can actually happen for your team.
Yep.
So you're not completely out, but I'm thinking it's kind of like an Overwatch in that you got like 10 seconds before you respawn.
Yeah, and maybe there's a...
And you respawn at a base that you have to like run out.
I was going to say, you were saying it's sort of king of the hill and holding onto the frisbee for longer, but is it... I wonder if having to get the frisbee somewhere as well, or maybe at some levels
whether
at
it
least.
be king of the hill in the fact that, literally it's all about your team holding onto the frisbee for as long as possible. So it's not even about getting it back to the base, but it's actually more about keeping things off the other team.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I think you could do different levels. Similar to Overwatch has that where, okay, well, this level's a King of the Hill level, but this other level is like an objective level where it's get the frisbee from this end to that end and hold it there for a certain amount of time or something.
And if you manage to, get the frisbee all the way down the other end, you get 1 point. But if you happen to kill like a bird, then you get like 700 points.
We're not playing mittens here.
I had to bring it in because I just thought of it. No.
Okay, well, I like the idea then. Let's talk about what the other team can do to intercept the frisbee. Obviously you can just, if someone does a long throw, you can just jump up and grab it, right? Like if they do a sort of one of those nice, long, close to the ground throws, then you can just run in the middle, you can grab it. It's like, shit, intercepted. I like the idea that you can shoot the frisbee out of the air, but it's really difficult.
But how cool would it be to like shoot it out of the air, pick it up or shoot it out of the air into the hands
one of your opponents. Yeah, one of your team members catches it. Yeah,
catches it, and then all of a sudden, you're the most awesome person in the world.
Yeah. And then I wonder if there are some sort of ultimate style abilities where you can do things like grapple, the frisbee in midair and pull it towards you or something, or just like, or maybe you've got like a big air blaster that doesn't actually completely derail it. It just like veers it off course. Different ways you can just affect someone's throw to sort of alter their strategy. So they're like, shit, they've got this character or this weapon. We need to keep the throws short and sweet and stay close together rather than, we've got a really good thrower on the team and they can throw it really far.
The timer continues to go up for your team while you either have possession or it's in flight between you and your next player. Yeah. If it hits the ground before going to your next player, it instantly stops your counter and returns to being neutral. Yeah. If it gets intercepted, it's an immediate turnover sort of thing.
Turnover, yeah.
The idea being that, you really want to know where the person that has the frisbee is, but you don't want to be able to know where everyone else is.
Yeah, I think that's fine because then you can do surprise attacks and ambushes and things. But yeah, the team who has the frisbee. Well, I like the idea then that if someone's holding the frisbee, you can see where they are. Once they've thrown it, I think that fades. Maybe you have like an after image of this is where the frisbee was last seen or last known. But I think while it's in the air, you don't know. So it could actually be a good strategy to do longer throws because the whole team's heading over to this place where the frisbee was last seen, but actually they threw it, 200 meters because they did a real good even throw over a long field. Mm-hmm. And suddenly it pops up on their screen. Oh shit, player over there has got it.
So I'm picturing, here's something I didn't actually get to tell you about. I like the idea that there's actually kind of like in Overwatch how you got the different sort of levels of people in that you've got your attacking sort of people, you've got your defending sort of people, you've got your tanks. I was sort of thinking that you've got sort of like people who lay down defense. So their whole idea is to sort of shield the other players. They can be sort of more like linebacker sort of people. So you actually have like places on the team in that, this person,
right, so
they're
it's a bit
really
more
fast to be able to get to position and be able to catch it. But they're not so good in the way of throwing the frisbee. Yeah. Whereas you've got centers who are almost like the quarterback who can throw it a long way and they've got almost more stabilizing sort of stuff, so they get more accurate straight flow throws.
Yeah, I like that.
And I just like the idea of being able to have, you can have your sniper sort of character who's all about, sort of picking off
like the support.
Picking off the person who actually has the frisbee sort of thing. If you can be really good with that.
Well, and you could have,
see the red glow come up, bang.
Maybe you've got support characters who have powers like being able to hide the aura or something, so, while they're on them or while that power lasts or something, you can hold onto the frisbee without it showing up on everybody else's radar or screen or whatever. And, there's a lot of potential there for different strategies and different wrinkles you could bring into it. I like that a lot.
So do I. I've just got this. It just looks sort of Overwatchy in the way of the character art style, but the actual area is sort of more mundane.
Yeah.
Because
I like the idea of that too, with sort of brighter characters in a less saturated sort of rundown space.
Yeah, so that they really pop when you see them.
Yeah.
And just I'm picturing some of the different ideas that you can bring into it, and if you've got good team play and that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like communication is going to be key to really place yourself well for each throw. And
I'm picturing one of the other modes is like a hot potato mode, in the fact that when you're holding it, like does damage, you've got 3 seconds to get rid of the frisbee,
or it explodes.
I'm thinking from the time that you pick it up, you've got 3 seconds. In the air, the timer gradually resets to 3. So if you do a short throw,
it might not refresh all the way.
It may not refresh all the way. It may
I like the idea of representing that in the frisbee itself, like the color of it or the speed of the flashing or something. So like you're a team, you're one of the team members, and you grab it, and it's just like flashing super quickly. You just know that you got to throw it immediately, no matter.
But that's when you throw it to your opposition. You throw it straight into the opposition. And catch it, bang! It explodes, and then you pick up the refreshed one from the dead corpse. And
that's a good strategy. I like the idea of a mode where interceptions are actually maybe interceptions are it wouldn't make sense for interceptions to be lethal, or maybe it would because it would stop the other person's timer. But I'm thinking of touching the frisbee while it belongs to the other team, does a ton of damage or something. So you have to really use a lot more of the shoot it out of the air kind of things that are a bit more difficult, or you can potentially sacrifice yourself and jump up and grab it, and maybe you get a second to throw it, but you are nearly dead.
Mm-hmm. I can see this working as VR or third person. They're basically the two.
Look, I think VR would be fun with the frisbee stuff, but I think getting around, I think traversal is still too much of a pain.
Yeah,
for that to really work well. I was thinking third person because you get a sense of your position for catching the frisbee. I think it gives you a good I think when you're sort of aiming a throw, you can get an approximate arc of where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Based on your strength, because obviously some of the, like you said, some of the characters can do really really long throws. Some of them will it'll fall short sooner. And and then also that just gives you a lot of character. You can, if you're seeing your character in third person all the time.
So what I'm sort of looking at now then is a different way that you can actually get the throwing sort of happening with the triggers. I'm liking the idea of you hold the left trigger to sort of pull back, and then as you want to go forward, you switch it over to the right trigger, but then you let go when you want to let go, sort of thing. So
you
one
let
trigger
go
pulls
of
it back, the other
left?
One puts it forward. No, I was sort of thinking having it between the two. So one pulls it back, and then the other one goes to put it forward. But it's only as you're holding it down that it actually starts to go forward, and when you let go, that's when you actually let go of the
Okay, so I actually like it a little bit different, where the left does pull it back. I don't think that necessarily has to be a slow thing. It's more of just, all right, I'm going into throw mode. But then the faster you pull down on the right trigger, the sort of faster you're going to throw it forward. But while you're holding down the left trigger, the character is still holding onto it. So it's when you let go of the left trigger, because I'm sort of picturing this moment of like, all right, hold down the left trigger, slam down on the right, and let go of the left at the right time for a really fast throw. But, you might, if you don't do it right at the right moment, you're not going to be accurate. Whereas if you pull down on the right trigger a little bit more slowly, you're going to have the opportunity to let go of that left right at the right time because maybe you get a little indicator or something for like a perfectly aimed throw.
Well, there you go. Maybe you do hold down on the left trigger to hold the frisbee, but you use the thumbstick to move the hand.
Yeah, it could be the thumbstick too.
Because then you got to
keep it straight.
You can move your.
My only issue with that is that's actually really fucking difficult to do straight. Like you'd have to have that fairly lenient.
Oh yeah,
because you don't want to be constantly be like, curving off to the left because your thumbstick's a bit off, or you just can't quite get that immediate center, sort of thing. But no, I do like that idea of sort of having to time the release, as such to really get the right throw. That's cool.
Cool. Okay, Benjamin.
All right. Well,
release your idea upon the world.
Well, first, what's your frizz? What was that?
Listen again.
Is that a fucking Mario soundboard or something?
I was given a Mario question block keyring.
Okay. Did you mean to do that then?
No, I accidentally cut it.
Okay. Firstly, what's your frisbee game called? Spizbee. Spizbee Wars.
Frizzpocalypse.
Frizzpocalypse. Cool. Frizzpocalypse 2037. All right. Well, I didn't come up with anything else, so I'm going to pitch the other game that I mentioned to you the other day, which is one that I'm actually potentially going to start building. But
peek behind the curtain, as it were.
Yeah, I really enjoy twin stick shooters because it's sort of just a bit of twitchy gameplay that I can do while I listen to podcasts or something, and particularly if it's sort of an endless survival kind of mode to just try for a high score, sit around, do it again. I played a ton of Crimson Land back in the day. I finished that game countless times so I could just unlock everything and do the unlimited mode. And I was actually top 10 in the world, or I think so. I had a screenshot. Anyway, I think I lost it. My idea though for a sort of a twin stick shooter, is like a side-scrolling, like a platforming twin-stick shooter. So you're, jumping around on platforms. I'm thinking a fairly limited area. But similarly, and look, there have been games along these lines where you're aiming still with the thumbstick. And I think it's one of these ones where you hold the thumbstick in a direction and you just fire in that direction. You don't have to press any other buttons because otherwise that gets a bit tricky with jumping and stuff. But it's like an endless survival sort of mode, roguelike kind of attributes where as you play, you unlock new things that might show up in the level, power-ups and permanent improvements to your character and that sort of thing.
A la Dead Cells?
A la Dead Cells as well. And the sort of theme that I was going for, or that I thought of, is sort of a monster-based theme. Initially it was just vampires, but I think you could do something where you can bring in a lot of different monsters. And the reason I like that is because you get a variety in the way that you need to kill things, right? So, vampires...
Now I'm picturing one of the power-ups for the vampires is like a UV cannon.
Yeah, definitely. Or like a UV grenade or something.
Yeah. You've got your typical weapon is actually like a crossbow with stakes in it that you can shoot them in the heart.
Yep. I think that still does damage. I don't think we're going to make it so you have to shoot them in the heart every time, but that's a critical hit.
Yeah, I think if you get them in the heart, they immediately dust. Yep. If you hit them elsewhere, they just slow down a bit and they've lost quite a bit of health.
Yeah, and you can still kill them that way. I think they don't necessarily dust, then maybe they just fall down dead. Or dust slowly after they've
lost too much blood, and they're now, they
but
now
I'm thinking
need
you can also
sustenance to stay alive.
You could even bring in
got power ups.
They've got
power-ups
power-ups too.
are virgins that come through the level.
Oh my God.
And just chow down and they get
No,
they get all
I'm
their
thinking
health back.
most things are pretty much cannon fodder. Obviously, you'll have more powerful enemies coming, but I think the real challenge comes from the different types of enemies and just the sheer numbers, right?
Yep.
I was thinking also maybe you could bring in some sort of tower defensive aspects, or not necessarily tower defensive. I guess, again, sort of like Dead Cells, you've got traps that you can put down. So you can put like a UV, spotlight in a certain position, and they either have to avoid that area, or if they walk through it, they're just, damage is done to them until they turn to dust. Mm-hmm. But then, as the levels go on, it's like, oh shit, now there's werewolves as well. Werewolves don't give a fuck about UV light. You're still going to damage them with the wooden stakes, but not as much.
But silver?
But find some silver weaponry or silver ammo, or, silver, maybe you get silver bolts for your crossbow if you stick with that, or maybe you've just, you could just have it one of these games where you've got an unlimited type of number of weapons you can switch between. Or, well, it might be more challenging to have 2 or 3 weapons you have to switch between to really decide what sort of coverage you want for doing damage to different types of creatures.
So, for the mummy, what's actually going to?
Well, I think for the mummy, it's fire-based weapons, right?
Yep.
Because they're going to be pretty dry and flammable.
Well, Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster has got to be explosives, because you're only held together with fucking stitches and stuff.
And pitchforks, maybe?
Pitchforks, yeah. Well, they can be some of the traps. You can set up, like, pitchforks that swing down from the ceiling and just take your set off. Monster from the Black Lagoon, is that where you're going? That creature from Black Lagoon?
I was thinking, sort of like Swamp Thing.
I think they're actually out of the water, so they just drown in the air. You don't even have to fight them. They just come onto the screen and
is the hardest one to actually destroy. The Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man. Jesus. You have to set up, like, fucking clouds of mist or something so you can see him walking through them and pushing the mist aside.
No, what actually is his weakness is paint.
Right, you set up paint traps, or you've got a paintball gun. Yeah, I like that. You've just got a paintball gun. You're just like paranoid, firing it in all directions all the time until you hit him. It's like, oh yes, now they're going to paint spot. You
can put out like spray paint sort of thing, and some of the mist is going to get on the Invisible Man.
Yeah. And that's actually not bad. I was thinking the Invisible Man is just a joke one, but you could actually do some cool stuff with that.
Yeah,
can you imagine like a whole level where it's just Invisible Man?
Jesus Christ. I kind of like the idea of there being like a secret bonus level.
Yeah.
In which you're going up against, like, say, the Wet Bandits, because it turns out that you're Kevin McAllister.
What's he got to do with monsters?
Setting up traps.
Oh, traps, all right. Lots of people set up traps, though.
Okay, so then you've also got Predators, because you're also Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator, and then you've got...
Because he set up traps, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Who else set up traps?
traps?
We delve into that memory of yours and find some other trap setters.
Jigsaw.
You set up these horribly, like, psychological, messed up, but gory traps for the vampires that are coming.
Again, Kevin McAllister. that's a fan theory that's been going around that Jigsaw was actually Kevin McAllister.
Jigsaw is Kevin McAllister?
Changed his name.
Okay. Got cancer. Died. All right. Yeah, but anyway, I think that could be just a cool twist on sort of a roguelike twin stick shooter with a lot of opportunities there for different styles of gameplay. And having to because then you can do things like, all right, maybe you can only carry 2 or 3 weapons at once and they pop up randomly in the level. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh shit, all right, I got a flamethrower. So if the random number generator throws a lot of mummies at me, I'm good. And of course, your flamethrower is still going to do damage to others. But it's all about what the sort of special damage, like the extra damage is going to be. But, you get enough XP and you can buy a perk or whatever, which is flaming crossbow bolts or something. So it's like, all right, now I don't need this flamethrower because I can just use my regular crossbow, which can take out vamps, but it's also on fire. So it's also going to do extra damage to mummies.
And you've got silver paint that will, obviously cover the Invisible Man, but it's also silver, so it hurts the
Yeah, exactly. So I think you could definitely come up with a lot of combinations there for just being able to, in that very roguelike or Crimson Land sort of way, where you're just layering perk upon perk as you get further and further, but also it's getting more and more difficult because there's the numbers are going up, or you're getting more of the more difficult enemies and that sort of thing.
So is this? You said top down before. So,
No. Crimson Land was top down.
Yeah.
Most twin stick shooters in that way are sort of top down in that there's no gravity. Like they're ostensibly top down where you can move in any direction. I'm thinking this is side on though. I'm thinking this is more of a platformer.
Okay.
Sort of thing. So you've got different paths through the levels, different entrances into the levels that they might be coming along. And again, that's sort of where the tower defense-ish thing comes in as well, because you're like, all right, like generally where monsters are going to be coming from, one of these 5 places already. So it's like, all right, well, I'll take my odds and set up a UV spotlight here to take care of any vamps that are coming in over there while I, use my flamethrower on this other entrance because there seems to be a bunch of mummies coming in. But, it's on a lower level, and so... But I like the idea then that you can be firing your stake up into the air, hitting the vampires that are like jumping across the top levels while switching back and forth while you're down below. Also, like using your silver coated paintballs to mark invisible men and kill werewolves.
Oh yeah, I'm liking a lot of this.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of the different environments that you can set this up in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it could be anything. You could have, more, again, sort of the office building kind of outdoor sort of space. You could have, medieval castle sort of stuff, or, Transylvanian castle. Mm-hmm. Rocky cliffs out in the forest. That's the Predator and Arnold Schwarzenegger level. Yeah, I mean, you could come up with a bunch of different environments.
Sci-fi with aliens coming in.
Yeah, totally. That's one of your bonus levels. And you could potentially even do multiplayer, whether it's... Well, I mean, for one, multiplayer co-op would be really cool.
Yeah.
But you could do competitive multiplayer where perhaps, you each have your weaknesses. I'm part vampire, I'm part werewolf. And so, it's about choosing the right weapons to do the most damage to whoever you're attacking at any one point.
Yeah, you're using the UV cannon and you accidentally point it at your partner, you're going to do some damage.
Oh, yeah, well, that too, if you're doing co-op.
If they're a vampire.
Yeah, for sure.
They're an invisible man, you want to know where they are.
But then the enemies do too, if you do co-op. So I thought, I think there's some good potential there. And I may actually, in the lead up to our game jam that we're doing again this year, try to mess around and sort of grey box some of that out and come up with some of the basic gameplay stuff.
Cool.
So look out for that if I actually end up doing it.
Knowing us, we probably won't.
We shall see. Yeah. And the name of the game is Vampire Weekend.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's, but Burnies, and it's because you're setting mummies on fire.
Okay. I reckon that'll do for today. We managed to get through 5 games, and it took an hour and 12 minutes to record this.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us this week on our special last episode of 2018 Game of the Year edition. Thank you to those folks in the AGPN who sent in their pictures. Hopefully we did them justice for you. And if you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. That is probably the best place to do that. You can get to our YouTube, you can get to our Facebook and our Twitter, our other stuffs. You can now go and view our creator profiles and find out what other podcasts Trevor and I have guested on in the past.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'd like to plug all our friends who gave us all the ideas today from the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Search for #AGPN or go to @AGP Network on Twitter. And search for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
Sorry, it didn't sound like the end of a sentence.
I know. I was thinking I was going to say something else, and I couldn't think of what I was actually going to say.
No, that's fine.
I've got a bit of a headache at the moment.
Oh, no. Oh, good. So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm Spiderman, and I'm going to do a half spit turn into a kick back flip, manual into a switch, goofy web slide, kick face punch move for 20,000 points. Thank you.